Alright, here we are, and this is going to be a little bit of a quick, non-scripted video. So, for those of you who have not heard the news yet, Skyblock Isles will be coming back in a few months. The server is alive again, and they have like a full team rebuilding the server and redoing everything and all that. And they've been doing some dev streams, so we've been able to see kind of what's going on as they're coding behind the scenes. And just this morning, they posted a frequently asked questions, and I'm going to, since I plan on when the server comes out, doing like a full devoted dive into the game. I'm gonna make a whole bunch of content, hopefully gonna stream a lot for the game. So I'm gonna go through this FAQ and just read everything and give my own thoughts about what I think about all of this, and yeah, let's just jump right in. So question 1, what happened to the old server? As many of you know, the original Skyblock Isles shut down earlier this year due to a lack of players, lack of advertising, and ultimately funding. If you want the full explanation of the people involved, you can read it here. Yeah, so basically what happened was that Bayesian tried to make a bunch of deals with a lot of different people, and one by one, as far as I know from what Bayesian said, all of the deals slowly fell through and fell apart, and the original server was intended to be much, much bigger. Like, there were very lofty goals, and sadly the budget just was not there. They did not make the money that they expected to make. From my perspective, I feel like the reason why it died out a little bit was because they kept on trying to do these frequent weekly updates in which they would add in small changes every week. And I feel like what happened was that the players were just progressing through the game faster than the developers were ready for. And then so the weekly small changes were not enough to keep players engaged, and maybe something more like less frequent updates with much more content would be better. Maybe like if it was once a month, there was something large added that could keep players entertained, then maybe they would not have quit. At least I know that's why a lot of the people who I was friends with who played the game for multiple hours a day ended up quitting, was because there just wasn't enough new content being added. Remaster, overhaul, rebrand. This question has been brought up a few times in the Discord, so we want to clarify exactly what's happening so no one has unfair expectations. It's not a rebrand because that would imply brand new branding, new server concepts, something more drastic than what is planned. Just because we're changing mobs, items, altering quests, or storylines to make it a new server, heart of server doesn't live with the items created. So basically what they're saying is that the server will remain mostly the same, or at least somewhat the same concepts, but they're not going to do a complete overhaul, nor are they going to try and copy paste. I like that because, I mean, ideally, if they rolled out the server as it was, I would be content with that, but it sounds like they have some new changes planned, which I'm not opposed to new content anyway. I'll be very excited to see what new things they add. But I would say that old Skyblock Isles definitely had a winning formula. As long as that stays in, like, somewhat intact, it'll be fine. When is the server coming out? Not comfortable providing an ETA, but they will be giving frequent updates. So far, this is all stuff that I already knew. Will we keep our cosmetics? Unfortunately, due to the way old cosmetics worked, where you could obtain little vouchers from way more than just donating, we can't do a blanket return of all cosmetics. Okay, so basically, they cannot refund cosmetics because they're kind of rewriting the entire script. They're just planning on doing like a full reset. I'm okay with that. I mean, like, I wasn't big on cosmetics. It kind of sucks for the people who sunk a bunch of money into it, but I mean, like, those people knew that the server was kind of like a test and not a guarantee anyway. So I can't feel too bad about it. I'm pretty happy with the fact that it's getting a full reset. I think that there's one of the questions down here, we'll talk about that later. Will we keep our items? After careful consideration and listening to community feedback, a full reset of stats, items, and all progress is required. Fantastic. So I'll be able to start grinding from day one and be on an even playing field with everybody else. Will the map stay the same? This is a big one. Thankfully, after working with the old team, we were able to retrieve the old map to use as a base. We have a few ideas for alterations to the map to start with to aid us in being able to create more lore and quest lines. One of the proposed ideas is leverage the idea of floating islands even further and take advantage of that concept to improve aesthetic and add new mechanics based around it. Yes, keeping the old map, improving upon it. This is great because it means that players who played it before will be rewarded by being able to kind of maneuver around more, but at the same time they can change things up, make it fresh, make it great for new players. Let's see, will there be any new bosses? Yes. Okay, cool. And in fact, they released a picture of the new Queen Bee as well, and it looks super dope, much cooler than the other one looked. Will you add player islands for Skyblock? Yes, this is one of the things we believe was missing from the original Isles, whether you personally agree or not. A customizable home base of sorts gives all kinds of players, or players of all kinds, new gameplay to interact with. If you're an aesthetic player who enjoys building and gathering, the player islands could provide an outlet. If you're a hardcore grinder, we can implement a balanced way of giving islands utility. If you're PvP users, we can make islands have options and risk involved. Okay, so this is one change that I'm very much not a fan of. Although it seems as though at this point it's already been decided that they're going to add islands for Skyblock, but it's something that when the initial question came up, it was something that I fought against really hard in the suggestions and all the discussions. I don't think that the game needs it. I feel like spending development time towards those instead of spending the time towards fixing bugs and adding new content for the main world is a mistake. But assuming that we are getting them, and then I'll just have to live with it, what I would say is that this part here, if you're a hardcore grinder, we can implement a balanced way of giving islands utility. I really hope that this does not happen. Ideally, I would like to be able to spend the majority of my time on the main island, and what I don't want to happen is for it to become a situation like Hypixel Skyblock, where half the skills are completely on your personal island. You can just hole yourself away with your own personal resources on your own island. I feel like that takes away from a lot of the mechanics and fun of the game. In the game, there are a limited amount of resources spread out across the world, and one of the key aspects of skill grinding is knowing which areas have the most resources combined with which areas people don't really go to. So like, for example, if you were going for combat XP, you might look to kill boars, but if you go there and there are already 2 people there, you're not going to get any XP from those boars. So a player with the knowledge that, say, scorpions give a lot of combat XP, not as much as boars, but a lot, maybe like, okay, there are people at boars, so let's go over to the scorpions and farm those instead. And therefore that player is rewarded for their knowledge by being able to kill something else or being able to grind something else. And they are therefore rewarded for knowing the game, looking at all the stats, doing the math themselves. This is completely removed if you have a way to like grind mobs or grind skills on your island. It completely takes away from let's say, for example, gold is the best way to get mining XP, or was the best way to get mining XP, but gold was extremely popular. And if you did enough research, then you would know that the second fastest way is to mine cobalt, and that nobody mined cobalt at all. And then so if the gold is populated, a smart player will be rewarded for their knowledge because they can go to the cobalt and get faster XP than all the people who are wasting their time on gold, just because they knew that it was the second fastest way and that nobody would be there. So for reasons like that, I hope that all of the grinding stays on the main islands. I don't want there to be a way to grind on your personal island. I feel like that'll just like remove the interactions from the game. It'll remove a lot of the strategy. It'll remove a lot of the need to learn where things are, why they're there, and how good they are. It would just make the game lose a lot of its depth. So I would really hope that that this part is given a second thought, a second consideration, and then taken out. But as opposed to everything else, aesthetic player who enjoys building and gathering, fantastic. Hundreds of unique furniture and prop models, yes. PvP user, you can have the islands have PvP, that's fantastic. All of this kind of stuff that doesn't interact with the main island's grinding mechanics would be fantastic. So I would just really ask the devs to have like a big discussion about whether the islands should have any form of grinding or utility on them, because I personally don't think they should. I think it takes away from the experience a lot. Are beta tester applications open? No, we will make an announcement. Okay, once those are open, I will be trying to get in. Very much. I'm so excited for this server. Ever since they announced that it was coming back, I cannot stop thinking about it. It's all I want to play. All of the other games seem so boring now. Recognition for OG players. It should be made clear now that although we appreciate everyone who played before and was able to provide feedback, we don't want to hoist OG players up on a silver platter. This creates cults of entitlement and people thinking rules don't apply to them. There will be no special treatment. We will do what's necessary to create a healthy environment no matter how many hours you have already. Fantastic. Absolutely great. Okay. As one of the OG players, I think that the recognition or the like perks come in game knowledge. As they said, a lot of the game will be staying the same. A lot of it will be different, but a lot of it will be the same. I think that having the knowledge of like the layout of the map, what to do, some of the better strategies, that's all of the recognition or reward that we need. I think that it's perfectly fine because it does kind of give us a leg up on knowing how to grind, knowing what to do. So that is more than enough. I definitely agree with the sentiment that it can like create entitlement and then like groups of like popular kids and all that stuff. So I'm very happy that they're not going to do anything for the original players. 22. Keys. The old key system with RNG drops on top of RNG rolls to get exclusive endgame items isn't returning. Okay, so while I agree that perhaps you should not have RNG systems for the endgame items, I would say that having a key system for cosmetics would be really cool. Market economy. We read lots of feedback on the old player market economy and to understand that the marketplace itself was flawed in how it worked, and we do plan on transitioning to a more transparent shop system that will be less confusing to understand what things mean. We also understand the economy was sort of borked in the original Isles, and it was far too reliant on a large player base to have fun, and we don't want to make that a crutch again. So the main thing that was wrong with the market was that you could never tell what was actually on sale. Because the way that it did it was that it took all of the sales and the buys and it kind of averaged them together, and then it gave you a price based on what the average of the recent transactions were. But the problem was that the market worked on if the item is there, if somebody's selling it, you can buy it, and if not, you might have to wait for extremely large amount of times. Like if nobody's selling the item, if only one person sold the item for like 10 million coins, but it was only worth like, I don't know, 300k, then the price would show up as 10 million. And then all of the players who don't have knowledge on that item will just be completely misled. So, I mean, in my opinion, the old market could have been fixed if they simply changed it to only show things that were currently on sale, similar to like the auction house in Hypixel Skyblock. Because if you only show things that are on sale, everybody knows what's there, everybody knows what they can buy and the exact price that it's set for, all that good stuff. I feel like that would have fixed it, but I'm excited to see what they come up with. And then obviously, once they come out with it, it's not like the game is a complete full game, so we can always put in suggestions and see what else we can add. 24, agility. We'll redo this. I disagree with this. I don't think agility needed to be redone. I think the reason why agility flopped was because there were only 2 courses for the entire duration that the game came out. I think that the foundation for agility was fine. You level up agility by doing parkour, and your reward is that you have a little bit more stamina and access to a bunch of shortcuts. So I think that like with that foundation, it's fantastic. And all you need to do is just add more courses and more useful shortcuts, and then bam, you're done. I don't think agility needs a rework. Some people suggested things like, oh, have agility level up passively as you walk around. It's like, no, please don't do that. Please do not do that. That is a horrible idea. None of the skills should be passive. None of the skills in old Isles were passive. Not even health was passive. Like, yeah, health was like, you got it while passively killing mobs, but like you still had to kill mobs. Like if you wanted to level up health, you had to kill things. There was no skill where you're like, I want to level this up, but I'm not going to think about it. I'm just not going to do it. Like that just wasn't a thing. And if you make agility so that you can get it while passively walking around, all that means is that you can level up agility without thinking about it in the slightest. So which I'm not a fan of. I feel like you should at least have some sort of thought about what you're doing. I think agility was fine as it was. I think it just needed to be expanded on with more courses, more shortcuts. But we'll see what they have planned for that. Stance on pay to win. None of us on the team are pro pay to win. Yes, fantastic. Fantastic. Pre-release funding. One of our current plans is to release a founders bundle of sorts before the launch that will allow us to secure funds for awesome hosting, some more exclusive assets, and offer early birds a way to get some unique stuff and propel development faster. Okay, actually that brings up a point. You guys mentioned that there was beta testing that might come out before the release of the game. If there is beta testing, please, please, please wipe the progress of the beta testers upon release of the game. Like that is like a huge necessity. Some of the beta testers might complain about it. I literally do not care. Like if people are beta testing for the game, their progress should be wiped before the release of the game. I'm assuming that's already what's planning on happening, but just in case it wasn't thought about yet or that wasn't what the goal was, please wipe progress from the beta testers upon release of the full game, because otherwise it provides an unfair advantage, and then the people who weren't beta testers will run into like that click issue that was mentioned earlier. It'll be kind of a similar situation to like OG entitlement will just turn into beta tester entitlement, and then they'll just have an unfair head start. So please wipe progress. Same thing here, whatever this founders bundle is, please make it only cosmetics or like only like more information or something like that. Please don't make it any gameplay advantages or head starts. That would make it super unfair to all the people who don't buy it. Again, no pay to win, please. I'm assuming that this is already what you guys are thinking, since you said that you're not pro pay to win. But just in case, that's my thing on it is just please don't give free to play non-beta testers some kind of like handicap that other people who did pay or were beta testing would have, like some form of gameplay related reward. That would just be really bad, I think. If it releases like during the time when I'm in college and it's not too stressful with like finals and all that, I will be streaming this, ideally like a couple days a week for multiple hours. That'd be super fun. But anyway, yeah, that was a cool fact. Lots of useful stuff in here that we didn't previously know. Lots of places where I was able to kind of give my own opinions and input. So hopefully somebody watches this and can take my thoughts into consideration, and then obviously we'll be able to look at it more as we get closer to the date, as we get more information, as we see how the server is going to plan out. But that's all for this video. I just kind of wanted to go over the fact, kind of read some stuff, and that's it.